Hi everyone, Sarah with Flux here. Thank you for joining me today in our basic coding in our training on basic coding in Flux. This training is focused on creating liquid statements in the Flux system. If you should have any questions at any time during this webinar, please type it into the questions section. We'll be dedicating the last 30 minutes for questions and answers, so we'll be saving all your questions for then. If we do not get to your question in time, we'll try and curate those and answer them offline in an extended Q&A. Let's get started. In this Flux Basic Coding webinar, we'll be answering the following questions. How do I use the editor window to implement my code? Where can I use Liquid to make templates? What are the basic building blocks for creating code using Liquid elements? How do I write a logical statement using the editor? What are some examples of using if-then logic? As I said earlier, there will be a question and answer after the overview. If-then statements are an invaluable tool within the Flux Builder. They allow admins the ability to do several things, including pulling in and manipulating data from your builds. Let's go over some basics before we get into writing statements. The language used by the Flux tool is called Liquid. Liquid is a template language that allows placeholders to be replaced with data from your site. A placeholder is a piece of code that will ultimately be replaced when the template is sent to your browser. There are two types of placeholders in Liquid. The first has double curly brackets and denotes output. The second has one set of curly brackets and a percent sign and denotes logic. For easy reference, the interpreter window shows logic placeholders as gray and output placeholders as tan. If you want to create a template that brings in a specific field to that record, you can simply go to the field button and insert the field there. Make sure your cursor is in the position you want the field to go, and then click on field. Then, under Grant Request field, select the field you wish to insert. You'll notice that dynamic and core attributes are listed in separate sections. For this example, we chose the field Amount Requested. Notice the way the field name is laid out in the interpreter. Every field begins with the word model and then has a period. The next portion depends on whether you're pulling in a field from this model type or another model type. If you're pulling in from this model type, the field name goes right after the word model. If you're pulling in from another model type, you would include the name of the model after the period and then the field name. Amount requested is an example of a field that's native to this model type, the request model type, and requires no additional model name. An example of a field that would require a model type designation would be the organization name field. So to do this, we would put model.program_organization.name. If you want to do something more complex, like use a field that may not be present in every record, then you need to use logic. Let's look at an example. So for this example, we want the template to bring in the project title field for a request, and if there's not one, we want it to bring in the project summary field. We begin with the curly brackets and the percent sign. Right, so if we have the first logical placeholder which tells the browser if the field project title has a value, then input it with the field directly following the logical statement. The output field we put directly after the logical placeholder is project title. Then the statement goes on to say, if there is no project title, then the project summary is used as an output. Then the whole statement is ended with end if. Notice how the statement in the interpreter is now color-coded and displays different text in this view. Again, the tan-colored ovals are the output placeholders, and the gray-colored boxes are the logical placeholders. Normal text is just displayed normally. Let's go to another example. Say you have text that you only want displayed if a field equals a certain value. For this example, we're going to write a statement that only displays information about an organization if the organization has had at least one grant. The solution is to add an operator to the if-then statement. Using operators allows you to require that a certain field satisfy a condition. Examples of operators are given here. There's equals, does not equal, greater than or less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. For this example, we're going to use a binary field called isGrantee that equals true when the organization has had at least one grant and false when the organization has not. So if isGrantee is true, then the text following the beginning statement will show. If isGrantee is false, then the text will not show. Now that we have a sense of how to write these statements, let's talk about how to test them. To look for suitable test records, switch to the dashboard view. The first statement we need is a record where there is no project title, but there is a project summary. Once you've found your record, hover the mouse over the Edit button and look at the URL that appears at the bottom left of your browser window. Take the numbers from the end of the URL and go back to the admin panel. This is the backend reference number for that record. Now type the record number into the box labeled Model ID and click Generate Test Alert. A new tab with the test for that record should appear. Notice that only the project summary appears since the record has 0 grants associated with it. And since the record has 0 grants associated with it, none of the text following it appears. Okay, so this concludes today's webinar on basic coding in Flux, and I hope you enjoyed it. If there are any features I did not cover extensively, we will be hosting trainings in the future to address these features. You may also learn about any of these features by visiting our knowledge base. Awesome. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and call it for today. You'll be able to find a video recording of past webinars and a continued Q&A on our knowledge base.